here to announce our movie, God Bless Bitcoin. It's a documentary that sets out to tell the truth about Bitcoin. And you know, we're living in a pretty broken world right now. We're morally and ethically bankrupt, right? But
A lot of things went bankrupt this week.
a lot of things went bankrupt this week. And honestly, fiat is a key player in that. We all can see what our centrally controlled currency is doing. We're feeling it. It's inflation, right? My son, who is a senior, Luke, at Pepperdine, calls me almost every week to complain that it costs him $80 to fill up his tank of gas, and that I'm not going to be able to afford to work much more, Mom, to go to school. And I'm like, okay, all right, whatever. But honestly, if he's feeling that, what is the rest of the world feeling? If a kid at Pepperdine is struggling to pay for his gas, what's going on with the rest of the world? And in this room, we know a solution to the fiat problem, right? What is it?
Bitcoin.
What? Oh, come on, better. Yeah. So, Perianne, you were super early to adopt this technology. How did you know about it so soon?
Well, it all started during the financial crisis of '08, which is where Bitcoin was birthed. At the time, I was studying economics at the University of Florida. My entire community and my family was really impacted by what was going on in the economy. And my professors could not explain what was happening in the real world. So I went down my own little rabbit hole and did an independent study of the history of money in the United States. And what I found was very disappointing. You know, I learned that our founding fathers had established us on a gold standard. And then many years later, we entered into the Bretton Woods Agreement with our allies around the world, and we reneged on that agreement. We severed the gold standard in 1971, which really wasn't that long ago. And we led the world into this grand fiat experiment, which is where we are today. And we have systemic issues in our financial system. So at the early stages of my career, I dedicated my life to fighting for better economic policies for my future and for those generations that will come after me. And it was in DC when I was working on Capitol Hill that I learned about Bitcoin. And I was so excited to learn about this digital currency that was not controlled by a central bank or the government or a corporation. And I very much saw that this could be the answer to our problem. This is an alternative and a peaceful system and a sound system. So that's where it all began. Kelly, you're an educator. So what draws you into all of this?
So I have been in education for 30 years, and it made me really happy to hear you say that it wasn't not that long ago in 1971, because that's when I was born, and it feels like a long time ago. But for the last 15 years, I have really dug in to communities that have lived in generational poverty, and I have dedicated myself to serving those communities through education. And I see them coming into my classroom tired because they've been up all night listening to gunshots in their neighborhood. Or they come in with damp clothes because they have to wash their clothes in a bathtub because that's too dangerous in their neighborhood to go to the laundromat. And I'm always trying to figure out, how in the world did they get here? I mean, poverty is a huge issue, right? But how did we get here? And I keep coming back to, part of it is our financial system, right? Inflation hurts this community the most. They can't afford to live and work. So I set out to try to fix that by teaching them financial literacy, telling them about Bitcoin once I heard about it. I mean, the orange light bulb went off immediately when I saw that there was a place for this people to store value that a government can't dilute. And so I went to teach them, but the problem is, it's one of me and only a few kids per year. It needs to be more. We need to do more, and that's where you and I come together.
Yeah, that's where the movie comes in, and we see this in Washington, that Bitcoin is somewhat of a complex topic. It's not something you can teach in a 15-minute briefing. People's eyes roll over. You've got to make it interesting. But in order for the benefits of Bitcoin to reach the masses, we have to reach out to the masses. There's a lot of misinformation about this technology. The events of this week show this is a scary place to operate. There's a lot of missteps people can make. And so the importance of this movie is about ending the FUD, but communicating and educating as many people as possible that there is an alternative to the current system.
So let's talk about the movie a minute. The movie sets out to show how we got into this predicament with fiat and how Bitcoin can fix that. So what we did was we interviewed experts across the landscape and had them come in to share what they knew. We teamed up with New Roots Films and Emmy Award nominated filmmaker Michal Sawirski to make the moral case for Bitcoin on film. And the way that we try to dispel the FUD and explain complicated terminology and ideas that crypto can have in it, Bitcoin can be confusing, we created high-level animations to pair with those interviews. So what I'd like to do is show you what that looks like right now. We have an interview with expert Mark Yusko, and we would like to show you just a little clip, a little animation of what this movie will look like. Please roll that.
How about the energy misconception? Oh, it uses it uses as much energy as these small countries. Okay, you mean different than the banking industry? How many branches do you drive by on your way home to work? Have you ever been into bank? Why do we have these big buildings being heated and cooled and people sitting around doing nothing? We all use our ATM cards, we wire money to each other. So there's a lot of electricity that's used in a lot of things. Gold mining uses 60 times the amount of electricity as Bitcoin. Everything we do, all of us, every day, is take energy and convert it to value. Bitcoin to me actually is the perfect conversion of energy to value. You ever seen the picture of the United States at night? It's totally black except for North Dakota and West Texas. Why? Because they're flaring gas. Right? They produce oil, and there's some gas that comes out. They don't have any pipelines, so they literally put it up in the air and they light it on fire. Really bad for the environment, cool light show, but that's a negative. So what could we do? We could take that gas, we could attach a microturbine to it, and we could turn electricity into Bitcoin. Attach a miner to it. Now, we don't need a pipeline to send that value. All we need is an internet connection. We don't need to get right-of-ways. We don't need to kill any birds with windmills and wind farms. And that is a perfect conversion of energy to value. It's actually a net positive for the environment if you're taking the carbon out from the flared gas. That's a huge positive, but no one talks about that. Because the incumbents the banks don't want this migration to a better form of money.
There's more. Mark Yusko is just one of the Bitcoin celebrities that we've interviewed. We've also interviewed Michael Saylor, Natalie Brunell, Mark Cuban, and many others. And these interviews are going to be juxtaposed with interviews of teachers from all the world's religions, such as Christians, Jews, Hindus, Buddhists, Muslims, and others. We're digging into the sacred scriptures and dissecting what they say about money. How is money supposed to work? What is a moral and ethical way to transact in our communities? And regardless of what religion you subscribe to, or if you subscribe to any religion at all, scriptures are the moral codes of our society. And just spoiler alert, any monetary system that steals from its citizens, whether directly or indirectly through inflation, does not subscribe to God's moral code of freedom, truth, and inclusion. Thomas Jefferson Thomas Jefferson says, "It is in the region of ignorance that tyranny begins." I was an economics major at a public university, and I was frustrated that I was not taught the truth about money in college. And I've spent the past 15 years searching for that truth. The fiat system does not represent the values that I hold as an American or as a Christian. But there's good news. Galatians 5:1 tells us it is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Bitcoin is freedom-enabling technology. Woo. Bitcoin allows us to have more control over our money. It gives us a greater chance to have financial independence and more freedom from the state. It is for freedom that we are producing this movie so that we can teach as many people as possible that Bitcoin is the most honest and moral form of money available to humanity today. Let's watch the trailer.
The most transformative aspect of Bitcoin is really almost a social economic experiment. Can all the users of a money be in control of the monetary system?
It is the people's money, and that's truly revolutionary.
I do think that most people are undereducated about Bitcoin.
Bitcoin really is the foundation for true monetary independence.
This is the internet of money.
Bitcoin is the people that are over the bullshit.
The dollar will dramatically lose its purchasing power. The more they print, the more it gets diluted.
Who it's good for is the people at the tippy top.
And with Bitcoin, you just can't do that.
The current fiat system is going to collapse.
We're going to see huge changes in our lifetime.
We're in a phased transition of society. It's more than a financial revolution.
The psychological implications of Bitcoin are profound.
Bitcoin does represent freedom.
Bitcoin is truth.
There have been intentional disinformation campaigns.
Most people who are skeptical think it's primarily used by drug dealers and money launderers.
Highly trackable, highly traceable, not built for criminals anymore.
90% of US dollar bills have cocaine residue on them. Which currency do criminals use the most? I think their preferred currency is the US dollar.
But Bitcoin can't be destroyed, can't be hacked.
There's no single entity in charge. There's no single point of failure.
So you could hate Bitcoin and it'll still benefit you.
The percentage of renewables operating in the Bitcoin network is actually shockingly high.
And so it's actually not adding to the carbon footprint of the planet.
That makes Bitcoin the most renewable or green energy industry in the world.
The biggest threat really is what the US government decides.
It's also the threat Bitcoin is purpose-built for.
It is trying to remove politics from money. Everyone operates by the same rules. It doesn't matter who you are.
This is new territory
that I don't think the world has fully appreciated yet.
There's 21 million Bitcoins. There's 8 billion people on the planet. You do the math.
It's going to be priceless.
Where does it take us next? Time will tell, but it's very exciting.
Bitcoin can make the world a better place.
And there's nothing you can do to stop it.
Proverbs 3:13 tells us, happy, blessed, fortunate, enviable is the man who finds skillful and godly wisdom and the man who gets understanding. Aren't you happy that somebody told you about Bitcoin? Have you been blessed or fortunate because of Bitcoin? It's our responsibility to share our godly wisdom and understanding about Bitcoin to the citizens of the world. One of the things that's really special about this movie is that it's fully funded by the Bitcoin community. This film has already raised $2 million, making it one of the most well-funded Bitcoin documentaries ever. The Chamber of Digital Commerce's foundation is proud to partner with the God Bless Bitcoin movie, and today we are announcing a crowdfunding campaign. Anyone from the community can donate to this campaign to support the movie, and because we are a 501c3 charitable nonprofit organization, your donation to support this movie is tax deductible. You can go to godblessbitcoin.movie to join the campaign, to learn more about it. and donate today, or just scan the QR code on the screen.
Thank you to the conference for allowing us to announce our movie to you today. We are going to release at the end of 2023, just in time to orange pill enough people for the next halving. If you are an accredited investor and you would like to invest in the movie, our team is out front. But if not, we have a donate button here if you would just like to join in the cause to educate people and free them. Thank you.
God bless Bitcoin.
God bless Bitcoin.